we're going to do this part, and then we'll go back and finish up what we do on the agreement. As far as the agreement is concerned, Jeff will be our counsel, will be incorporating a lot of our changes. That will come back to the authority for approval on those changes. And then once we do that, we will be turning it over to the mayor and his staff after we get through that process to start the back and forth, if that works for you all. We know that once the agreement is signed, the city goes out of Act 47, the state will no longer have oversight, and then that responsibility comes to us at the authority. So we want to be smart about what we're doing here and thorough, so that we get the job done. Right. I just want to say thanks to Jeff for working through this, having major surgery on his emergency surgery on his leg. We appreciate you getting it to us in the time we have requested. I also want to thank Philadelphia and Pittsburgh ICAs. They've been very helpful in us not having to reinvent the wheel, and a lot of it comes from mostly Philadelphia, using that as a template, and that was nice of them. On a side note, Audrey and I had a chance to visit with the leadership of the Philadelphia ICA, and they were very helpful and have offered to help us down the road because they've been through it all already, so they've opened their doors to us. Under my report, there were a couple questions, just general questions not pertaining to the agreement that we had, and Jeff, if you would be willing to address them. Bruce, sorry, too many Jeffs. Bruce. And I had sent them to you earlier, and questions from authority members were, the first one being the money from the Lancaster Sewage and Water Authority, the escrow account, where does that go and how does that get used?
So originally the money came from the sanitation fund back in 2013. So the sanitation fund was combined with the disposal fund to create the neighborhood services fund. So the money has to come back to its source. So it's coming back, and that to the neighborhood services fund, and that's been budgeted as coming back for a number of years. And now we're just going to realize that revenue in the 2019 budget.
Okay, great. And chime in if anybody has additional questions about this subject, so I'm just going to keep it moving. Okay. Recent news on the trash lawsuit that's been brought up. Any concerns?
Right. Obviously, we don't like to comment publicly on ongoing litigation.
So. Yeah.
We believe that the city's position is correct in terms of its rates and the governing sort of documents surrounding those, and we're going to fight the lawsuit vigorously. And any further comment, I would say, we want to speak to the city solicitor.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And then the last question was, it's great the parking settlement has happened. What happens with that money? And
so I don't know if you picked up on that from the news, but that actually happened last year. It's just
okay. There was a recent article in the
Patriot. That's just them just getting around to reporting on it.
Okay.
So it actually, so that money, the fund that was what was then called the holdback fund, which was really just escrowed money that we believe should have been part of the waterfall payments from prior years, and it was a sort of a global settlement. We won't get into the details. That money was booked in last year in the 2018 budget in the appropriate line items, where it was either for city payments or for HPA payments. So there's two line items that represent all the parking revenue that we get on an annual basis.
So it's on the books.
It's on the books from last year.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Great. Thank you.
Just a sort of similar question. I know there are lots of lawsuits with the incinerator and trying to recoup money, and were those to bear fruit? I know there's a waterfall.
And I don't remember what it is. Yeah, it's in the strong plan.
Where would that money go back? Is that something that
it's actually
discretion?
Yeah, I don't know if there's discretion. Any money that comes to the general fund, obviously,
yeah.
It's sort of unencumbered and can be used for anything. But
right.
I mean, there is where it goes, and so we don't really have much of a discretion on that, unless we would ask for the strong plan to be amended by Judge Ledbetter, and I don't think we're going to go there at this point.
Well, we'll hope for trickles.
Yeah. We hope for anything when it comes to anything would be better than nothing.
Bruce, thank you.
Yep, sure.
Any additional questions there? Okay, let's go back to the agenda then. Discussion and approval of internal control policy. Tina.
Okay, we submitted the internal control policy to all the members. I won't go into detail, but we are asking that we appoint authority manager as the chief fiscal officer. It's pretty comprehensive, and all the checks and balances are in place to make sure that we have the internal control. So I would like to make a motion that we approve the internal control policy.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Any comments, changes? We all had a chance to review it over the past couple of weeks. So hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Great, thank you. Thanks, Tina. Discussion and approval of authority seal. Ralph, if you would take us through that.
I will actually be very pleased to announce that we have a web presence, hpgica.org. There's not much information on that web presence currently, but it exists. The consultant that was retained was Factory 44, and the principal there is Dave Robertson. It's not going to be a very robust website, but it does fulfill a necessary function that's required of the ICA. And Dave went ahead and designed a logo, / seal for the authority, which will double as the logo. And he gave some coloring options inspired by the flag of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And he asked if we would please direct him towards the color option that would be used. So one is black and white. There's one that incorporates gold, blue and gold. There's one that has 2 shades of blue, and then there's a monochromatic blue. And the choice of blue, I think, would be the darker color, although not rendered as such. So I would love to be able to respond to Dave with the selection of the seal, first the approval of the seal of the authority, and then the selection of the color palette for him to finalize, and it will actually appear on the website. It can be used in the future as well when we want to seal documents.
Okay. Keep this moving, so we're not doing color choices and all that kind of thing. I'm going to ask for a motion, get a motion on the floor as far as a choice, and then we can go back and forth about it.
So 5 of you.
So I'll fall first.
Okay.
I happen to like the gold and the dark blue just because it reflects the colors that are traditionally used with governmental entities in the state of Pennsylvania.
Is that a motion?
Sorry, I move that we accept the color palette of gold and dark blue.
Is there a second?
I'd be pleased to make a second.
Okay. So, anybody have any discussion or additional thoughts? Or?
Yes, I think we need the black and white one too.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
A little bit.
Okay.
For technical reasons, you always have to have the vote.
Okay.
So we both of those.
Any other thoughts or comments? All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Great.
Thank you.
That meets a requirement in the act that we have a seal, so we've met that. Let's go to review of bills paid, please.
Okay, so this month we actually have funds and we are actually paying bills for the first time. We have for 5 invoices that we paid since our last meeting, so I'll go over their amounts. Factory 44 was paid $1,983. Schaefer and Engel Law Offices was paid $2,235.80. Mesh PA was paid $10,182. Mr. Vartan had a reimbursement of an expense for $15.44, and we paid Gunn and Maury LLC for our directors and officers insurance annual premium at an amount of $4,123. So we have an ending balance for this meeting of $81,460.76 still in our bank account. So with that, that's the report of the monthly bills.
And that doesn't require approval.
It doesn't say that we have to approve it, just that we have to report it.
So it's recorded. Great, thank you. Any other items of business from the authority that anybody wants to bring up?
I just wanted to mention, if it's okay, everybody, once the website is actually fully functional, a lot of the things that we've been doing, like the internal control policies and the minutes and all those other things will be all uploaded so that they're completely transparent and available to the public. Right now, they're sort of not in any particular place, but they will be as soon as we can get them all on the website. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeffrey. Any other items? Okay. Any public comment today?
I guess this is public comment, but just to talk about process. You've mentioned about the execution of the agreement ends Act 47. The process that we're anticipating is, because we are still under a long-term consent order with Judge Ledbetter, is that the two bodies, when they get to an agreement, they both approve before it is executed, would actually then go in an application for a final administrative order for the open docket. Just because there are some things that are 40 years long in that docket. So the court has a say one way or the other whether they're retaining jurisdiction on the parking deal, Lex Wama borrowing, maybe the AMPAC settlement agreement, because that goes out till 2036 or something. There's 4 or 5 items there that she has long-term, and basically, since they're court orders, I prefer not to ignore them, and go to her and basically say, this is the agreement. Upon execution, it would remove it. This is the proposals of what the court would hold on to jurisdiction for. We would be in touch with, I think, each of the major AGM, AMBAC, the other major, the county, the major players in this to say, because they were parties to it, they were given intervener status, and say, do you have any input, do you have any say, about how you want to do this?
I think that's a good point, thank you.
Yes, so.
I think that's a good idea.
So even if we move fast on this side, we still have a judicial process to step into to wrap this up.
Thank you.
Sure.
Make you aware of that. Okay. Anyone else with comments? Mayor, care to say anything?
No.
Okay, all right, great. Thank you very much. That concludes, yes, our next meeting is Wednesday, July 24th, and that will be here at the library. They've been very kind to us, and the room is available, so good things. I'll ask for a motion of adjournment.
To go back into executive session?
To go back into executive session, yes. So moved, second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, opposed? Great.
Thanks, everybody.